Live from Miami Grill in Dallas, Texas, with the music of Emerald City, this is Sports Waves. Now, here's your host, Mike Doocy.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Sports Waves. Great crowd and a great show ahead. As the NFL playoffs heat up, so do Sports Waves. 5 guests are scheduled to appear today. One surprise guest we'll tell you about in a little while, but for one of our guests tonight, a legend in the NFL history, Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, will be joining us. Also, from the current Dallas Cowboys, a Pro Bowler for the first time this year, Darren Woodson. From the San Francisco 49ers, joining us via satellite from the Bay Area, Ken Norton. And we'll talk about the showdown for the NFC title. But we begin by introducing my co-host tonight. He's fresh off yet another 100-yard-plus receiving performance in the playoff victory over the Green Bay Packers. From the Dallas Cowboys, the playmaker, Michael Irvin. Hi, Mike. Michael Irvin, welcome back to Sports Waves. Thanks for coming out with us here. You guaranteed it, and it's happened so far.
Well, you know what? It amazes me sometimes when and you guys are supposed to be real intelligent, you know what I mean? But media types and everybody, they say, do you think you guys are going to win? And I say, yeah, of course. I guarantee we're going to win. And yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to say? Well, guys, I just don't know, you know? I don't think we can win the ball game. Of course I'm going to say we're going to win. We're going to win any game, every game we play. And if anybody don't have that attitude on our football team, then I will try to get them out of that locker room.
For the few of you who may have missed it, Michael, talking with Terry Bradshaw, as he outlined, said that, yeah, he expects to win all the games of the playoffs, and a guarantee of sorts there. Throughout the last half of the season, a lot of fans, a lot of media in the Dallas area wondered what's wrong with the Cowboys. Where's the consistency? Where at times is the intensity? You guys said all along, when the games really start to count, that fire will be back burning as hot as ever. I guess through one playoff game, you've proven it anyway. But how did you guys manage to turn it up, apparently, to the fan watching? How were you able to turn it up just so suddenly?
Well, everybody, you know, when you say, they say, can you turn it on and turn it off? And we don't know that could be done. And I don't know that could be done. I mean, we didn't play the Giants one day and turn around and play Green Bay the next day. We had 2 weeks of preparation. When you get 2 weeks of preparation, there is much time to turn it up. It was never turned off, but there's much time to turn it up. And in those 2 weeks, man, it's the first time in all season that we had everybody practicing. You know, I was back out practicing. Everybody, we were out there having fun again. And when everybody in the locker room, everybody in the huddle see that all the players are there, it brings on a sense of security in your head, and we go out and we perform better. And we had good practice, and we played a good game.
Ken Norton will be joining us in just a minute from San Francisco. We'll look forward to that. But before we introduce Kenny, Tony Martinez has a perspective on yesterday's game at Texas Stadium.
Are the Packers going to win today?
15 days, long enough for the fans outside Texas Stadium to come prepared with their best material.
We don't need you, and we don't need your predictions. It's 3-beat all the way!
And from the moment the teams walked onto the Texas Stadium floor, with stardust falling from the sky, it was obvious the Cowboys also had 15 days of bad press ready to vent on Reggie, Brett, and the unsuspecting Packers.
They played with a lot of emotion today. They got after it.
In the game's furious first quarter, Switzer and the Packers learned about Cowboys' Super Bowl intensity. Michael Irvin, isolated here, illustrates the point. In the drive to three-peat, the Cowboys say they must play at a higher level. The game's first drive, 7 plays, 51 yards, capped off by Emmitt Smith's Reggie, where are you? 5-yard run. On a record-setting afternoon, Cowboys quarterback Troy Aikman and Alvin Harper combined on a thing of beauty, NFL playoff record 94-yard pass play. When Harper crossed the finish line, Troy answered the question, where have you been?
I didn't know I'd left.
Troy's today, without question, was his best game since the Pittsburgh game.
So dominant was this Dallas team that when Emmitt Smith re-aggravated his hamstring late in the first quarter, his teammates consoled him, urged him to relax and rest. This one was over.
Finally, you think you're getting over something, and you get out there on the field, and you end up doing it again. Just not as bad. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
The Cowboys defense did the rest, holding Brett Favre to 211 yards passing. In this game, there were many heroes. Irvin, Jay Novacek, and Alvin Harper each gained over 100 yards receiving. Charles Haley was again a menace on defense. And Nate Newton played with the kind of pain that would keep many players ineffective, or at least on the bench. But this was surely Troy Aikman's game. 77% passing, 337 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, this is a nice win for us, but as far as I'm concerned, it's over. We're on to the 49ers now.
Barry Switzer asked his players to show him something special this day, and they did. The Cowboys and their coach will apparently let nothing stand in their way.
Thank you, Tony Martinez. Many things came from the game on Sunday, Michael. One of them was the injury to Emmitt Smith, and we'll talk more about that as the show goes along. But Emmitt listed as questionable early on in the week. You know him as well as anybody. What's your feel as to whether he'll be ready to go Sunday?
Well, I seen him today, and he was bouncing around in the training room and everything, and he's doing good. You know, he really is. He said that it didn't hurt as much as it did in the New Orleans game, and that's good news because he's bounced back pretty quick from the New Orleans incident. So if that's the situation, then I'm really looking forward to him being pretty close to 100% come Sunday.
Our Waveline question last week here on Sports Waves. Who do you feel is the best coach in the NFL over the past season? NFL Coach of the Year? Well, Dave Wanstead won the voting. The Chicago coach with 37%. Bill Parcells second with 25%. Other coaches, well, they got 20% of the vote. Bobby Ross of San Diego with 18%. In San Francisco, Ken Norton is warming up and getting ready to go for his conversation with us, myself, and Michael Irvin. Should be interesting as Ken Norton and Michael get together to talk about the game coming up this Sunday in San Francisco. Also later, Cowboys All-Pro safety Darren Woodson had an outstanding year. He'll talk about how the Cowboy defense will try to contain that high-powered San Francisco attack. Also, last and certainly not least, Bob Lilly is on hand to share some of his super memories of the past in photographs. It's a fascinating story. Hope you'll stay with us for that. Sports Waves is coming right back.
Hi, I'm Jody Gregory. Sports Waves is brought to you by Europa Cruise Lines. Fun you can bet on. By American Airlines, something special in the air. By the MGM Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, the world's largest hotel, casino, and theme park. And by Miami Sub Grill. Take your taste to a different place. Michael and Ken Norton are up next, so hang on.
Welcome aboard Europa Sea Cruise. Join the fun.
Back on Sports Waves, Mike Doocy with Michael Irvin. Not only do the Cowboys have a lot to play for on Sunday and trying to get to the Super Bowl and become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls, but Ken Norton of the 49ers also trying to become the first to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. And joining us now live from the 49ers practice facility in the Bay Area, linebacker for the Niners, Ken Norton. Ken.
I'm not sure about the cheers or boos. I'm not sure.
Thanks for joining us, Ken. This is Mike Doocy. Michael Irvin is here. How quickly they forget, huh? The former Cowboy, now a member of the enemy team. You guys have been on riding a wave, so to speak, on a roll, however you want to put it, seemingly since the season began, last 10 or 11 weeks. The big playoff win over Chicago. Are you playing as well as you've played all year now as a unit?
I'd say we are playing pretty well. I just think that our true judge will be how we play next week.
Is that, Ken, has that been the whole situation there since you've gotten there? It's, no matter what you guys do, it always got to measure up to the Cowboys?
I tell you, Mike, that's good. That's good. Mike, I've been telling you for 6 weeks. For the whole 6 years I've been knowing you, Mike, I've been telling you, don't play with fire. What happens when you play with fire, Mike?
All right, kid.
Ken, the Niners got the best of the regular season battle. You think the Cowboys have any more respect for your team as a result of what happened during the regular season?
I think the Cowboys, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. They won the last 2 Super Bowls. They've had a lot of good times over the last couple years. And I just think that this weekend coming up is something that we've all been waiting for. I think the respect factor is going to be truly come this week. I just think that there's a lot's going to be said coming after this week.
I look at Brian Young studying film, and I think Brian Young is just having a great year. How important has he been to that defense?
Oh, yeah, I think anytime, you know, talk about defense, you talk about the 2 tackles, and Brian Young and Dennis Stubblefield, those guys that are really coming off the ball hard, making big plays in the backfield. Anytime you have guys controlling the tackles, controlling the guards, you can let the linebackers like me run free and make plays.
Ken, we're going to look at some of the video from the first game now. Emmitt Smith will be the first guy we see here. As you know, he's questionable for the game on Sunday. What's your take on that whole situation?
You know, that's just talk. I just think that going into this game, we're expecting everyone to be healthy. We talk about Emmitt being hurt, Mike's thigh and things like that. That's just talk. I just know that big games, big players show up, and Mike, he calls himself the playmaker, and Emmitt calls himself the game breaker. They'll be there come Sunday.
Well, Ken, let me promise you, my quad is feeling great. All right, so you are right. I'm not. Hey, I'm not. We're not sitting here trying to deceive you anymore. My quad's feeling great. Emmitt hamstring, it will be feeling better by Sunday. You know Emmitt will be ready to play.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you guys will be ready to play. And I've seen that you guys do a lot of talking in the press and things like that, but I think you and I both understand the game has to be played. The game has to be played, and the game will be won on the field.
You think you've done? You think you've done unnecessary talking? You know?
Well, you know what? I don't know that we've necessarily done any unnecessary talking. I mean, we answer questions. That's what we got to do because you guys ask questions. But I think in a big game, in every big game, there's always something. You take teams like San Francisco and any team, they always got to try to get that extra stuff to feed off of, and they'll say, hey, you guys did this, you guys did that. You can't get any more hype for a game than this game. The game's a championship game. You don't need the extra stuff, the bulletin board stuff. That's just talk. The game will be played.
Plain and simple, Ken. It will be decided on the field Sunday, but obviously you feel your team, granted of what's happened during the regular season, is a better football team right now than the Dallas Cowboys.
I can just say, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I just think this type of game is something that we all live for. No one wants to play when you're 0-15, 1-16, things like that. You want to play for the Super Bowl. I think that's one thing we all know here. The winner goes to the Super Bowl. And that's ultimately what we all want to get.
Before we go to an audience question, I hear today that you're going to move your practices to Phoenix over the next couple of days. What effect is that going to have on your team?
I don't think it have any effect. I just think that there's been a lot of rain out here, and we just need to get some good solid work. And we're just looking for some good solid ground to plant on and things like that. So we're just trying to find a good area where we can get some good solid work for this week.
Again, we're talking with Ken Norton in San Francisco. Let's go to our studio audience now with Mark Meter.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. I'm with Tracy Adams, and he's got a little bit of a dilemma. He's a big Dallas Cowboys fan, but he's also a big Ken Norton fan, so I think he's trying to figure out who he's going to pull for. I think it's going to be the Cowboys, Ken, but he's got a question for you. Here's Tracy.
Hi, Ken. You hear so much about the flamboyance of a Deion Sanders, but really, what type of teammate is he?
Deion's a good guy. I think a lot of times you're watching television and you just see the high stepping and the turnaround and things like that and all the dancing. But Deion's a great guy. He's a guy that he's real good for the locker room. He's a real good guy that you can go up and talk to. He's just one of us. He's just a guy that has a lot of talent, makes plays on Sunday. But he's just one of the guys.
Did that surprise you, or did you know that about Deion before you became his teammate?
Oh, I knew him before. We spent some time together. We came out in college together and things like that. We spent some time in Playboy All-American back in '87 and Walter Camp and things like that. So we've known each other for a few years. Just understanding that everybody here, he's really fitting well with these guys here. And this personality, this team is something that we really enjoy.
Again, we'll be back with more Michael Irvin, Ken Norton, much more coming up on Sports Waves. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
People think it's really hard to get to the Super Bowl, but not with Sports Waves and Miami Subs. Come into any Miami Subs grill in Dallas to register for 2 free tickets to Super Bowl 29 in Miami, including airfare for 2 on American Airlines, accommodation at the Key Largo Bay Beach Resort, and if that weren't enough, you can also accompany the Sports Waves crew on assignment. So come into any Miami Subs in Dallas and register today.
Checking out, all right. Silencing the feelings, as there ain't no good in me. I saw my mountain beating.
Tonight's Sports Waves with Mike Doocy is being sponsored in part by Acura, by Al's Pick-U-Park, by Metrocell, and by Acock Tire and Wheel.
Back on Sports Waves, Mike Doocy, Michael Irvin, and in San Francisco, Ken Norton. Michael, we thought you might need these before we go to the next segment with Ken here.
Hey, you know what?
You want to strap these on?
You know what? I thought I would need them last game. I want to ask Ken. I caught a ball, and I ran an under route, caught a ball, and man, what were you doing, Ken? Like you said, I thought we were good buddies, man. I come over, you pushing me all on the ground to me. Oh, chump. I said, hey, hold up, man. What's going on?
Mike, I hadn't seen you in so long, Mike. I hadn't seen you in so long.
Right. I looked up, I forgot it was you. I thought it was your father out there. He wanted to box. I was like, hey, are we playing football or fighting here?
I hadn't seen you so long. I just want to tell you a few things, and I just want to let you know what happens when you play with fire, Mike.
Oh, okay. I got burned, huh? Okay.
There was a lot of talk, Ken, leading into the first matchup, you know, about the emotions that you'd be feeling going against your former teammates. That stuff all out of the way now as you look at the second game?
Oh, yeah, I think that stuff is out of the way now. I just think right now, you know, emotion is one thing, but we all know what's at stake here. You know, the Super Bowl, money, bragging rights, respect. There's so much going on here. I think these two teams are two best teams in the league, obviously, two best organizations. I just think that it's only fitting that these two teams meet and just kind of brawl off. And Mike, I know you guys are holding the torch right now, but I think it's about time you pass the torch right to me, right through the camera and pass it to me. Pass the torch, Mike.
All right, kid, I think the torch belongs in Dallas, kid. We're going to keep it in for a while, okay?
Hey, how long, Ken, did it take you to get past the point where, you know, it was a new situation for you in San Francisco, and I think when we were out there for the regular season game, we got the sense that maybe you still weren't totally comfortable out there. How long did it take you to get used to the system and to feel comfortable playing for that team instead of the Cowboys?
I'll tell you, it was tough. I spent so many good years in Dallas, and all of a sudden you're coming out here to an entirely new situation, entirely new defense, people, everybody's different. And I just think that it took me a few weeks early on just to kind of get associated with what's going on out here. People, the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they meet, and obviously the way they play football wasn't used to what I wanted to do. And I just think once we all sat down and kind of said, hey, we got to meet somewhere to make this thing work. And I think when we sat down and finally met halfway, things kind of took off from there.
Let's go to our studio audience. Maddie Caldwell with a question. Maddie?
Thank you very much, Mike. And tonight we have Sean. Sean used to be a big Ken Norton fan.
Used to be. I don't believe this. I don't believe all these used to be fans out there.
Ken, I was wondering what you say to your old friends when you're on the bottom of the cowboy pickup.
Bottom of the pile. Excuse me?
I was wondering what you say to your old. Hold on. I was wondering what you say to your old friends when you're on the bottom of the cowboy pile up.
I won't be on the bottom. I'll be on top of the pile. I'll be throwing all the punches.
Yeah, that I believe.
How about the talk? I think that's what he was getting at, Ken. You referred to it earlier, the fact that there's some talk going on both sides. But how about on the field? Any extra talk coming from either side?
I think sometimes there's a little woofing going on. I think Alvin Harper runs around talking about ain't no more gimmies and things like that. And I just think it's a little emotion going on. But I think everyone needs to understand that we're professionals doing something that we do best, and we play very hard. And it's not easy to sit up there and talk as we're running routes or tackling guys. I think most of the talking is done on the way back to the huddle or after players saying things like that. But there'll be some talking going on, but I think this game is so serious I think talking is we're going to kind of put that aside once the game starts and pretty much try to execute.
Michael, we have somebody else here, a special guest, who wants to talk a little bit with Ken Norton. Welcome from the Dallas Cowboys, Pro Bowl safety, Darren Woodson. Darren, congratulations on the great year and the selection to the Pro Bowl. As you've seen, we've had Ken Norton up live here from San Francisco. How you feeling now? It's early in the week, but the game that everybody's been waiting for is finally a reality.
I'm anxious for it. I think we've all been waiting for it. Michael, for one, making the prediction and all, and we're going to back that. We're ready to play it, and it's the two best teams in the league playing each other, and we're going to come out with a victory this week.
Like to talk to Ken Norton for a second? Here he is, 9 monitors with Ken Norton. Ken, say hi to Darren Woodson.
Woodson, you better not say nothing.
Hey, I'm not going to say nothing to you.
Say anything. I raised you, Woodson. I raised you, Darren. I made you what you are today. You sit there, you let Mike do the talking. I raised you.
I'm not going to say nothing.
Don't fall into that trap, Woody. Don't fall into the trap. I raised you, boy.
See that? Hey, see Ken? See that? That's perfect Dallas attitude. You took it, you ran out to San Francisco with it. So that means we raised you, and we raised the Niners. All
right? Well, Darren, he says he raised you. I'm sure you learned a few things from this guy.
Honestly, I learned a lot from Ken Norton. Just to being a competitor and being out there, going full speed every play. I learned a lot from him and a couple other Bruins. James Washington, another one. But his intensity level is high, and he's a great player.
A lot of people talked before the season how difficult the adjustment would be for the Dallas defense no longer having Ken Norton. In reality, how difficult was it?
It was tough for a while. I think the leadership was what really hurt us. Robert Jones coming in and trying to fill the position, and Ken was there not only as a spiritual leader, but he made plays, across the field, and he got up and talked trash, and he'd make the team more hyped and more ready to play.
Well, Ken, I remember that your days here, you had great practices. When Darren talked about your leadership, and I think that makes the difference. Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays, you went out and you led in practice, and it made it easier to lead in the game. How is it now? You're not the middle linebacker, Gary Plummer is. How is it now in practice now? Do you still have that leadership role?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you, early on, there was a problem with that. I think coming in, my personality is something that they weren't used to out here, so it was kind of like I was doing my thing, and everybody was kind of like looking to the side of their head saying, who is this guy? And I just think that early on we had that problem, but as time passed and the gradual change it almost became my team, so to speak, and I just think that as my play began to get better, the defense became more centered around me, and the leadership thing just kind of took care of itself.
All right, Ken Norton, stay with us, if you would, for just a moment in San Francisco. We have another Cowboy or former Cowboy who wants to stop by in just a minute to say hi. We're back with Bob Lilly and more still to come. Also, Darren, Michael, Kenny, we're back. Sports Waves continues. Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, up ahead. He's got a new book which chronicles many of his great experiences in photographs. You want to stick around and learn more about that. Sports Waves rolls on.
Body out, a city to remember. Body out, dancing in September.
Introducing
City to remember. Body out, dancing in September. Body out, never was a Friday day. And we say body out, body out.
We're back on Sports Waves. I'm Mike Doocy. My co-host tonight is Michael Irvin, Darren Woodson of the Cowboys, Ken Norton of the San Francisco 49ers joining us via satellite. Guys, including Kenny in the Bay Area, we have another guy who wants to come out and get into the conversation here. Former member of the Dallas Cowboys, spent the most recent season with the New York Jets. Welcome former Cowboy defensive lineman Tony Casillas. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Well, how you doing?
I'm not doing bad now, sitting next to the boys here.
So.
Before we get into conversation about the game coming up this weekend, a word or two on your status. What is it right now?
Well, obviously, I'll be a free agent after this year. Unfortunately, the deal with Kansas City under the circumstances didn't work out, which was kind of a bad thing. But fortunately, I'll be a free agent this year. And New York, we didn't do so well up there, 6-10, but I definitely learned how to drive defensive while I was up there.
Well, I want to know, wait a minute, hold up. How would you be a free agent again? I want to know, how do you keep becoming a free agent now? Since it seems like you got the lock on this thing.
All I want to know.
All right, Tony, keep it clean. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
You know I got to say something to you.
All right, Tony, keep it clean, though. Please.
No, it's just circumstances, and it seems like those things happen, and you just got to accept them the way it happens. And fortunately, I'm going to be a free agent again.
Okay, you've mentioned several times you're going to be a free agent. Where do you hope to play next year?
Right here. Right here.
Well, I mean, first of all, I just want to go somewhere where I have obviously the best opportunity financially, which I did in Kansas City, but I want to go somewhere where it's a competitor as far as going to playoffs, because it's really hard watching the playoffs. And I had a lot of great memories in Dallas with such a great group of guys, and that's the hard part about it, is watching that time. I mean, it's nice to have time off, but you'd rather be playing.
You want to come back to Dallas?
Oh, I love Dallas. Dallas will always be my home, but that was something I never did really think that I was going to ever happen. I just want to play and let things happen themselves.
Want to talk to Ken Norton a little bit here?
Yeah, sure do.
Ken Norton.
What's up, Kenny? Hey, I want to know something. Who's doing your hair now?
Well, Tony,
you look good.
You're a guy who, you've got strong feelings on one side, obviously coming into the game this weekend. But looking at it, let's say, pretending you're looking at it as an objective observer, given your knowledge of football, what do you ask of Ken Norton about this matchup now, San Francisco and Dallas coming up on Sunday again for the right to go to the Super Bowl? What would you ask him?
Well, I don't see how do you plan on stopping, the boys on offense? That's what I want to know.
I tell you, those guys are so good. You know what I mean, with Troy and Mike and Emmett and Jay Novacek. I don't know how we can do it. I don't know how we get done.
All right,
we're sitting here right now looking at this film. We're watching this film right now, and we're just like, keep going back and forth, pressing a rewind button. Gosh, these guys are good. These guys are good. I mean, why should we even show up? Why should we show up, Tony?
I don't know. You're not doing a very good job of acting, though. You're a little facetious.
Seriously, as a guy who's been able to look at it a little bit from the outside this year, do you think the Niners have taken an edge in terms of personnel on the Cowboys because of their acquisitions?
Well, I don't think so. I think that they have every opportunity to win this game, and I think it's going to be one of the greatest games played. And but unfortunately, Ken.
I think Tony.
Well, I better be a little objective and a little diplomatic, because I'm going to I'm going to the game.
Cowboys, aren't you, Tony? Tony, you want to play for that team again, don't you?
No,
you think you're slick, Tony?
See, he hasn't changed it. I mean, he's still a little defensive.
Who invited Tony here? This is my show and Mike's show and Darren's show. Tony, go on.
Okay.
Hi, Tony.
All I want to know is, you still going to give me the tickets to the game this week?
Tony, who invited you?
Oh, okay.
Hey, Darren, how do you approach this game when you look at such a potent offense and such outstanding receivers? What'd you learn from the first game, if anything?
Oh, yeah, you learn a lot from the first game. You know, you go into the game, and you go into this week, and you try to stop Jerry Rice and try to stop the third down conversions. I think that's the biggest thing, is getting them out on third down, keeping them off the field, and keeping our offense on the field.
Ken, you talked about playing the tape and rewinding and all that stuff, but still, you saw the Cowboys in the playoffs step it up a little bit in that Green Bay game. What did you think of Aikman's performance against the Packers?
I tell you, he looks real good. I mean, anytime he can throw the ball as well as he did, throw to Jay Novacek 11 times, I think, and hit Harper deep, and Michael Irvin across the middle. I mean, they kind of covered all parts of the field, the deep part, the short part, and Mike across the middle. That's something we're going to have to really sit down and try to find a coverage to try to take care of all of it. Mike, you guys are looking very good. I'm glad you guys are looking good. So after we take care of business this weekend, there'll be no more excuses. Pass the torch. No more excuses, Mike.
Ken, well, I don't think we can, but wait, excuse. Do y'all go into this game defensively thinking, okay, we got to stop the run, or do you go into the game saying, hey, Troy's throwing real good, let's concentrate on the pass? I mean, what is the priority?
Mike, if you think I'm going to tell you what we're thinking, if you think I'm going to tell you our priorities, you're crazy, Mike. Don't try to give me mine.
All right,
It doesn't work like that.
I don't think we're going to get anything out of him. Ken Norton.
It was worth a try, Ken.
Ken Norton from San Francisco. We appreciate you joining us on Sports Waves. Thanks a lot for being with us. Also, Darren Woodson and Tony Casillas, thanks for coming in. Michael Irvin and I will be back with more Sports Waves. Bob Lilly is still to come tonight. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
This portion of Sports Waves is brought to you by Kroger,
your total value leader.
Hope you've enjoyed being with us this season, and we look forward to seeing you again this fall. Not sooner.
Welcome back to Sports Waves. I'm Mike Doocy. Michael Irvin is with us. And welcome now. Great audience tonight, by the way. Michael, you agree? Good job, guys. Keep it up. There we go. Okay. All right. And now a warm welcome, if you will. All we have to say is Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. Bob Lilly, Hall of Famer, member of the Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor. As you can see, and I've really kind of enjoyed seeing throughout Sports Waves how the current Cowboys know the former Cowboys. I mean, the regimes are different, but you guys obviously have spent time together at different functions and things. You get along pretty well. Huh?
Well, Mike, I think what it is, you gotta. There's such a mutual respect, and quite honestly, we actually praise these guys. They've done so much. I mean, Cowboys, it's a great organization, and it's America's team because of what they did, and all we're doing is trying to carry the torch and keep it going. So we do appreciate all the things they've done.
They're doing a real good job.
They're doing all right?
They're doing a lot better job than we did, I'll tell you.
Bob, how do you see them doing as you break it down in San Francisco on Sunday?
Well, you know, 2 years ago, or actually, I guess it was 2 years ago when they went up, it was almost the same conditions. San Francisco was picked to win. The field was muddy. It had been raining all week. They put in new turf. And so I'm kind of expecting the same outcome. You know?
They said history repeats itself, so there be it.
I'll tell you what, it's tough to do. And it's tough to repeat once, you know, and I mean, to go back the second year, and it probably, the odds are at least 1,000,000 to 1 on the third time. But I think the Cowboys have the greatest opportunity of any team that's ever played the game to win 3 in a row. And I don't think it will ever probably come up again. I mean, if it's really that difficult. Just getting to the Super Bowl, nobody realizes, and Mike does because he's been there, but the average person would never realize how difficult it is to even get to the Super Bowl. But the Cowboys have a mental attitude, I think, that is a tough attitude. And the game, the 49ers are hungry. The Cowboys know what it takes. They have I think there's a little confidence factor there. And I know Ken was here last year, and he knows what it takes. But a lot of those guys on the 49ers are new since you were there 2 years ago, year before last. Those guys, they've got about half their team is new. And the leadership that the Cowboys have, I think, is just really outstanding. And it starts with, of course, guys like Mike and really all of them. I mean, they're just they're good leaders.
Bob, we want to change the subject just a bit. and talk about your new book. A lot of people, everybody knows about your skills as an athlete, and maybe not as many people know about another skill that you've had throughout the years, and that skill is reflected in a book called Reflections. Talk about the project.
Well, the book, Sam Blair out here, he's been with the Morning News as long as I can remember, but he's not very old. But anyway, he and I collaborated on a book. Well, I took the picture starting in '61 with the camera that Kodak gave me on the coach's All-American team. Michael probably was there, but they gave us a little camera that you wound up, and it was automatic, and a lot of film, and had mailers in there that were free, about 200 rolls, and I sent them in every week, got my pictures, and took pictures of my teammates, and then I bought a better camera later on, and I took pictures all the way back to the beginning of the Cowboys and to 1975 when I retired.
Let's take a look at some of them. Turn and look at the monitor wall, if you will, here. We're going to see some of the shots. Tell us a little bit of background on each
Well,
of them.
there's Roger Staubach, and this fella, what he's doing right here is we copied everybody in the early years. We copied everybody that won. That was against Green Bay was the 2 Super Bowl champ winner in the early years, and they did the extra genie. And we had 9 backs go out because of extra genie, but we copied it. And Roger is pulling on that extra genie. That's his first year with the Cowboys. And anyway, he was a tremendous leader. I know Michael knows him, and he's a great guy, but he's a great competitor. And really, if you look back at all the great teams really that have won a lot of Super Bowls, quarterback plays a tremendous part, as Michael knows. And the guys that can stay on edge and throw that ball and really pull out a game, out of a game that you might lose if you didn't have that quarterback that was focused. And that's another reason I was going to say, Michael, I think y'all have a good chance. Really, it's very difficult when you won 2 Super Bowls to stay focused.
Jay Lombardo, tell us, who is the best
because of all the
dressed man
distractions, appearances, and people in endorsements and things like that.
Hey, we don't need the
and you all have had your ups and downs this year, but basically you stayed focused. And now it's serious. And that always attitude changes. It's just like a totally new season. When you start to play off this year.
Bob, let's look and just give us, if you would, a brief description on the next few pictures. Pretty good running back there.
That's Calvin Hill. Calvin was a great running back for us. He's the first guy that ever had turf toe. We started playing in Texas Stadium back when Calvin was probably in his 2nd year. And he's one of the first fellows that we ever had that had turf toe, and it was because of the turf. And it is a hazard to joints. Calvin was a great football player. This Don Meredith out in training camp in Thousand Oaks. You been to Thousand Oaks?
Yeah, I did.
Well, that was the old arms, Michael. But this is what it was like out in Thousand Oaks. We had a bed on either side of a desk, and you had suite mates. You had 2 rooms kind of joined by a restroom in the middle. And this is how it was. We were out there. We were pretty grubby, let me tell you. And fortunately, we had rookies every year that kind of helped us out. Here's a picture of Mike Ditka on the right here, and I think Dave Manders, Chuck Howley's over here on the left, George Andrew maybe back in the right. This is a game we were playing, I believe it was in Philadelphia. We used to get tape in the motels before the game. And you can see that this was our breakfast room. We stacked the chairs up. We all had to do that back in those days. Stacked the chairs back over in the wall, and then we used, they did bring in the tables that we used to eat on and put some mattresses on them, and that's how we got tape.
Bob Lilly, some members of our studio audience have some questions for you. We'll do that when we come back. Sports Waves continues. Michael Irvin, Bob Lilly, back with more in a moment.
So, Jay Lombardo, tell us, who is the best dressed man at Lombardo?
All my guys are the best dressed. Take these guys, for instance.
Hey, we don't need the big board for this. Hey, nobody's looking better than me on my show.
Problem is, Mikey, you got a bad show.
You need some pizzazz.
Pizzazz is not what I need. It's a good fit.
Tony, this is a perfect fit.
Hey, we need the big man with the chalkboard for this one.
Now let's check on the bus.
What about us? How about my...
The Big Kahuna.
First quarter Sunday, Troy Aikman gets nearly 1/3 of his passing yardage on one play. A beautiful strike to Alvin Harper, who does the rest. This 94-yard pass play, the longest in NFL postseason history. A touchdown against the Pack, and now a big kahuna. Just let Alvin score that. We're back on Sports Waves. I'm Mike Doocy, Michael Irvin, Bob Lilly with us. We have some people in our studio audience who want to talk with Bob Lilly. His book is called Reflections, and we'll tell you how you could get a copy of that book. We'll have an 800 number for you. You can dial in just a few minutes. Mark Meter now in our studio audience. Mark.
All right, thank you, Mike. I'm with LaRue Salas, and she's been a Cowboys fan for so long. She saw Bob Lilly play with the Cowboys in the Cotton Bowl, and she's got a question for Bob.
As you think back on your reflections for the Cowboys, your career, what is one of your most memorable, proudest moments?
Probably the happiest moment was when we won the first Super Bowl. The proudest moment might have been when we picked Coach Landry up after the game and carried him off the field, and he was smiling because we had been called bridesmaids for about 6 years, and that was a pretty old cliche, and we finally got rid of it down in New Orleans, and I think that's what started the Cowboys out, you know, as we got the nickname America's Team, which we hated because everybody tried to kill us. And
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Hey, you also hold the record for the longest distance throwing a helmet, I think. 50 yards.
I was on the airplane 2 years ago going to watch you guys in the first Super Bowl, year before last. And I was on there with Bob Greasy, and Bob said, "Boy, I don't want to talk to you." And I said, "How come?" He said, "The only thing people remember is you trapping me for 29 yards in Super Bowl VI." And he said, "We won 17 in a row the next year." I said, "Don't worry about that. Nobody remembers my trap in Dallas. All they remember is me throwing my helmet out of frustration the year before."
Bob Lilly's book is called Reflections. Bob, do you have that 800 number you can throw out there at this point?
Yes, what is it, Sam? 800? Yeah, Lilly 61.
There it is right there. 800 Lilly 61. Great photographs, great memories with Bob Lilly. Bob, thanks for joining us tonight on Sports Waves. We appreciate it. You can join Sports Waves at Super Bowl 29 in Miami by signing up at any Miami Subs Grill in the Dallas area. You'll receive 2 tickets to the game, airfare for 2, courtesy of American Airlines. Accommodations at the beautiful Key Largo Beach Resort. And you can be there to see the AFC get trounced again. Sign up at Miami Subs Grill. More photos from Bob Lilly's book, Reflections, as we take it to a break. We're right back with more on Sports Waves in a moment.
Watched by more people than any other network. ABC.
I'm not all that.
Why I like Iron Kid's bread.
I just like the taste of white bread.
He loves